All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Richmond Raceway. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's media availabilities. We are now joined by Connor Zilisch, Trackhouse Development Driver. If you have a question for Connor, please raise your hand. We will get a microphone to you. All right, let's start over here on the left.
All right. Chris Powell, Couch Coach Live. How you doing, Connor? I'm not sure if you listened to what Dale Earnhart Jr. said on his podcast the other day. He said in that quote, "This kid has the runway to become a multi-time NASCAR Cup champion." What was your thoughts on his statement and just the praise of Dale Jr.?
Yeah, it's really cool to have, a guy like Dale kind of supporting me. I'm racing for him later this year in the Xfinity Series and in the 88 car. And, obviously, I've already worked with them quite a bit to put that deal together. And, I've been around him a lot at the late model racetrack. And, he's just been a good guy to kind of help give me advice. And, it was funny. We were leaving Florence one day after a race, and he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, where do you live?" And I was like, "I live in Morrisville." He's like, "We ought to ride to Florence together next time we go to the racetrack." And, it's kind of cool. A guy like Dale Earnhardt Jr., as big of a name as he may be, it's just cool that, he is just another one of us, and he's a racer, and he doesn't want to be kind of known for how big of a household racing name he is. He just is another driver, and it's really cool that he says those things about me, and he has the faith to put me in his Xfinity car.
Go to Shane.
Shane Connick, Charlotte Observer. So when you were growing up in Charlotte, obviously I know you ended up getting involved with NASCAR racing specifically later after you started to work with Kevin Harvick's son specifically. But what was kind of the impact of NASCAR to you growing up in Charlotte? What kind of influence did the sport just have in general, even as in your early days of racing?
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't the biggest NASCAR fan growing up. I raced road course go-karts and, kind of grew up watching Formula One and, all the big sports car races. And, I never really was too big of a NASCAR fan until I met Kevin and kind of got more of an in-depth sense of, what the NASCAR community and, what it's like on kind of this side of things in the racing world. And, growing up, I went to a few races and, I was just never that big into it. I kind of was focused on what I was doing, and, that was road racing and, trying to get to, go race in Europe. And I raced go-karts in Europe, and I wanted to race F1. And, it kind of just became a fever dream almost, and it wasn't possible for me. So, it was definitely, I'm fortunate that I lived in Charlotte, but, I think growing up, I didn't really have that big of, an interest to race NASCAR one day until I really learned more about it.
And being a younger driver now and having experience in different forms of motorsports, what are some things about NASCAR that really kind of make it stand out to you?
I think just the popularity around NASCAR. I feel like everybody knows about NASCAR and, knows the big names in NASCAR. And, if you kind of say the same thing about other forms of motorsports in North America, it's not the same, right? Not everybody knows about IndyCar. Not everybody knows what IMSA is. But, I feel like it's just the biggest form of motorsports in North America. And I feel like that's what makes it appealing to me. And, I kind of want to just be the best in whatever I get in. And, if that means that, I'm going to race NASCAR, then, I'm going to put all my work into, hopefully being the best in NASCAR one day.
Additional questions? Okay, let's go to John.
John Newby, NBC Sports. You've already had kind of a baptism by fire of the aggressiveness of NASCAR. What are some of the other, things that you expect to face as like a learning curve as you prepare, for your first Xfinity race?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that happened at COTA was to no fault but my own, just rookie mistakes kind of that shouldn't have been made. And, I don't really want to say it was more aggressive than other racing that I've done previously. I don't really think it was. I think it was just me not executing, not doing my job. But, I think as we move on, the biggest thing for me is going to be getting on the big ovals and kind of learning how the car feels. I don't think the racecraft to it's going to be that big of a difference to me. I feel like some of the air stuff in the trucks is going to be different, and there's a few things, but I feel like the biggest thing is just going to be figuring out how to race on a big oval and how to go fast. I feel like it's not going to be the speed that kind of scares me. It's just the technique and what that takes. But I've been working really hard, and I've done a lot of simulator work already, and I don't even race until the end of the year. So it's all about preparation for me, and I'm doing everything I can to be prepared for the end of the year.
You've raced in so many different types of vehicles already, so many different type of competitions. Being that you're so young already, are there things that you wish that could be integrated for fan experiences, crowd experiences that could really help NASCAR grow overall, draw in bigger crowds that people could relate better to?
I always think there's things that as a sport we can do better. I went to an F1 race in 2020, and that made us look like we were going to the county fair almost. Like, it was crazy how much money goes into every event in F1, and I don't think it's really possible to do that for us just because we're not F1, and NASCAR isn't F1. But a lot of the hospitality stuff that they do, making it truly a fan experience, and giving the people that are willing to spend that kind of money to come to the races and have that kind of experience, giving them somewhere to go would definitely be helpful. But honestly, I feel like it's tough because F1 is such a big sport, and they have it's way bigger, and it's just crazy the amount of money that goes into every single F1 event. I don't know the logistics of it all, but I don't know if it'd be possible for us to do, and I doubt it would. But that was definitely an eye-opening experience for me, but I don't really know what we could do different.
Steve Post from Motor Racing Network. Connor, you've mentioned multiple times here at the end of the year, you're working toward the end of the year. How are you with the patience to wait to the end of the year? We all want it now. We all want to be in the Xfinity race today and the Cup race tomorrow. How are you managing yourself and the patience to work the process until at the appropriate time to get these opportunities?
Yeah, patience is a big thing for me. And I feel like even not only this year, but the years to come, just not rushing myself into anything, not forcing anything. I don't want anybody to put me in a situation that I'm not ready for yet. And, I feel like it's honestly a good thing that I get the next few months to, race 10 ARCA races before I go into an Xfinity race. And, before I, kind of move to the next level, I want to make sure that I'm prepared and I won't get thrown in the deep end. So, as frustrating as it may be that I have to wait until, September to make my first Xfinity start, I think it'll honestly be better for me in the long term just because I'll be more prepared. But, I do wake up every morning and count down the days till I go racing, and, my next NASCAR race, and I think my next one is not until August or September, but it is tough. But I think it'll play out for me in the long term, probably in a better. It'll be better for me in the long term, I hope.
Steven Sykes of Live and Global Media. As a young man, you had to speed up, obviously, a lot of different life skills faster than what most would go through. What leadership and also business skills that you had to learn differently than what you would say in terms of how to handling business, money, contracts that you had to learn differently than before?
Yeah, I've definitely had to grow up fast, and that's a big thing that people kind of maybe forget sometimes. Is I am still 17 and I'm a kid, but with that I have to be able to deal with sponsors, and I have a full-time career almost at 17, and at times it is tough, right? People, my dad gets hard on me at times, but it's all out of a place of love. But it's tough sometimes. I'm experiencing everything for the first time, and I'm still learning every day what real world problems and whatever may come my way. But it's been so good for me as a human being to grow up this fast and deal with these things every day. And I just got put into the real world at a young age, but it's been really cool for me getting to experience this. And I don't go to high school; I do online school, and my life's a lot different than a normal 17-year-old. But it's all for the better, I think.
Any final questions? Well, before we close here with Connor, I want to share some pretty impressive stats so far here just for 2024. Started off the season winning the Rolex 24, go on to Sebring, and just last week at COTA, you made your NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut. You win the pole at COTA. Now here you are going to be going NASCAR Xfinity Series racing later this season. Just close us out here by talking a little bit about the transition from sports car racing to NASCAR.
Yeah, it's completely different, and it's not easy making the transition, but I feel like I've raced in so many different disciplines already that I feel comfortable making the transition. I definitely do struggle from time to time, when I go back and forth and have to learn things again and, learn new things. It's definitely not easy, but it's at the end of the day making me a better race car driver and helping make me better. So, I try not to worry about the days that don't go too well. I don't worry about it too much because I know that, I'm going to have those days and, not everything's butterflies and rainbows and, it's not all going to be good, but, I'm still so young and I have a lot of time to learn. And, that's the biggest thing for me is don't focus on the results, just focus on getting better. And, that's the biggest thing that, I've had to learn at a young age is, you're not always going to succeed and it's not always going to go well, but, you're just kind of building for your future. And, that's been a hard thing for me to learn, but it's been a good lesson.
Well, Connor, thank you so much for coming in and spending some time with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.